welcome to the Sabrprints2A Show.
Hey guys, hopefully you guys are having a great day. Today, the special guest we have at the moment is...
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Trent Gideon 2A on Instagram and the host of Young Tactical on YouTube and on Odyssey.
All right, man. Thank you for joining me today. For those people that don't know what you do, explain to them a little bit of the stuff you're doing, what you do pretty much.
Yeah, so I started on YouTube a couple years ago and I just produced a lot of gun content. Not a lot of reviews, it's just like displaying firearms and stuff and shooting and talking about them. And then I got into 3D printing and learned how to use CAD. So I started just designing a lot of guns now and kind of slowed down on producing YouTube videos, just producing more files for people to print. That's kind of like the short of it. It's pretty fun. I like doing what I do, and I'm really happy to be here tonight to talk to you.
No, man, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it, because when I saw your stuff, man, I said, this guy, because you look super young, you know? You want to let people know how old you are?
Yeah, so I'm 18 years old.
Wow. So how old were you when you started 3D printing, if you don't mind me asking?
I started when I was 17. My parents got me a 3D printer for my 17th birthday. And the funny thing was, when I took off the wrapping paper, I looked at the box, and the box looked like a sewing machine. So I thought I was getting pranked. I was like, what is this?
So had you already asked your parents about 3D printing or no?
No, not at all. It was just a total surprise.
Oh, wow. That's dope, man. So yeah, like I was saying, when I saw your stuff and I saw how you looked, I was like, man, this guy kind of reminds me like Hoffman Tactical. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I guess you guys are almost the same age. And then also you guys got that baby face, you know? I don't mean it as disrespect or nothing like that, but I'm just saying, you know, you look very young, and it's amazing that you started at the age you started, because I've been printing for, I believe, like 8 months. So if you guys check Sabrprints, the original Instagram, since I started that Instagram, that's when I started 3D printing. And I'm a little bit older, you know what I mean? So if you started at this age, you're gonna be killing this stuff, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to start. I was so glad to like get into it so young, and I just learned it really quick.
I have a question. Do you do your own CAD files, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what software do you use?
So I use Autodesk Fusion 360.
All right, that's cool, man. One of the questions that I want to ask you specifically is, where are you from, and how old were you when you started getting it into 2A? Not 3D printing, but just 2A.
Okay, so yeah, I'm based in the state of Indiana, so in the U.S., of course. And I really got obsessed with just looking at guns, because my parents weren't anti-gun. We just didn't have a lot of guns. It was just never like, we never thought about it. So I was in the 4th grade when I started really getting into it. And my dad actually took me shooting at a buddy's house, who actually turns out to be becomes my mentor in guns and stuff. So I got addicted when I was in the 4th grade, and I really started shooting from 6th grade. And I started shooting competitions when I was 15, so in 8th grade. And yeah, now I'm a senior in high school, and I have probably the best armory in the school. So
wow, man, that's crazy. You're blessed that you started at such a young age. See, I think that's a big problem that I see in certain communities, especially the Mexican American community and other communities that don't have the Second Amendment, because what they push is that guns are only for bad people. So only cops and criminals use guns. Unless you were raised in a rural area, then you'll have like a shotgun or a 22, but that's about it, you know? Wow, I'm really happy that you started at that age, man. I think a lot of us need to start our kids at that age and get them familiar. You know, my niece and my nephews, since I do have weapons around me, I mean, I keep them out of their reach, but at the same time, I try to explain to them, you know, don't touch it, and the reason not to touch it, and explain to them that it's a tool, and you have to respect it because I want them to learn at a young age. But yeah, man, you're super blessed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's really the reason I started Young Tactical, and that's why I branded it that way, is because I was so young. I was 15 when I started Young Tactical, and I just wanted to kind of show off when like people look at the name and it was like, oh, that's his last name is either Young or he's a young guy, and that's
Correct.
what it spun out to be. Is yeah, I'm a young kid and I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm talking about, so you can trust me with what I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, man. I honestly, I would have never thought that you would have started at that age. So you're very lucky to have started at that age.
I started like I went shooting once in the fourth grade, and then I was just hooked. And we never bought any guns like after that until I hit sixth grade. They weren't like scared or anything. They just thought it's just a quick hobby. He'll get bored with it. No, I was on Bass Pro Cabell and like a local gun shop's website every night, just looking at guns, just learning prices, learning how stuff worked. And my dad jokingly said that I looked at guns so much that he figured that ATF would have came to our house back then. And now it's just pretty normal for me to just talk about guns. And I think I'm the reason my parents are so into guns now. Like, I helped influence even my own parents, my family.
I love it.
I was gonna ask you something. Me and you had a conversation, I think a couple days ago. Had a project at school, correct?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it right now and
Yeah.
explain to the listeners and to me what that was?
So I'm in a speech class for my senior year, and it's part of my English credit. So I wanted to become a better public speaker for YouTube and want to do more public events, hopefully in the future. So my topic had to be an informational speech. So I picked 3D printing, and I didn't talk anything about printing firearms or anything in Pro 2A. It was more of just like the history of 3D printing and what is capable of 3D printing, because people, when I tell them, oh, I have 3D printers, and they're like, oh, wow, you must have a lot of money or something. But I had to talk about the misconception of how inexpensive it is. Like, everyone thinks it's so expensive. I was able to like break that barrier, I think, to the people who were paying attention to me, that they were able to learn that 3D print is actually not expensive at all to get into, and to learn how to use it is very easy to learn.
Exactly, man. Actually, I had this conversation the last podcast, and even some people that I know, when they see my machines and stuff like that, they think I spend like a couple thousand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And I think it was because in the beginning they were really expensive. You know what I mean? I guess, I don't know, probably China started mass producing stuff.
China.
They started mass producing stuff, right? So the prices came down cheaper. But I thought that since they were cheaper, the quality was going to suck. That's what I was afraid of in the beginning. Then when I did my research, I realized, no, that they work great. So that's amazing that you actually were able to explain this to younger people, and you're keeping it going so people understand that you could do this. You could 3D print anything you want. You could 3D print your own gun. You know what? I was thinking about something last night, man, and I'm glad that we're actually kind of hit this topic. I was going to say, a lot of people don't know or really don't feel what it is to be free, to be American, A lot of people take America for granted. And I think you realize what America is, this is my perspective, when you get your first gun, right? You're like, wow, I'm able to have a weapon to protect myself, my family, to go hunting, to have fun, A lot of places don't have the Second Amendment. So yesterday I was thinking, I said, feel what it is to be American. Print your first gun. That when I did that, man, when I printed my first gun, I was like, this is America. Like, this is what America stands for, man. This is what our founding fathers fought for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's all about freedom, and it's only about that, I think.
Yes, correct. Yeah, man, I just wanted to get that school stuff out of the way because I was curious. And how did it go, man? Were you able to handle the audience a little bit better?
Yeah, I absolutely love giving speeches. I get a little nervous, but I absolutely just love it. And especially given a topic, speaking about a topic that I know and I like, and I want to just inform people is just awesome. I ended up getting a really nice score in my speech anyway, so that was perfect.
All right. Yeah, that's cool, man. Congratulations on that. You know,
Thank you.
a lot of people when you're gonna do a speech, because I remember when I was taking my business classes, it was a lot of presentations, right, in front of people trying to pitch and sell. So I remember in the beginning, I hated it. Like I didn't know what to do with my hands. I would be fidgeting, and I remember people used to tell me, "Oh, just pretend everybody's naked," right? Like I don't know why they always use that line. Then I met somebody, and that person gave me the best advice, and I still use this advice. Pretend you're making a video. When you're out there talking to the people, don't see the people. See your phone. Like if you're making a video for Instagram or YouTube, and that helps. I mean, it helps me. I still do that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, you should try it next time, man.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so another question that I wanted to ask you. You said that pretty much you started with guns at the age of 10, correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
So your family was already like, they were okay with it. When you got the printer, what made you look into building guns?
Well, so I was already so heavily into guns that when they told me, well, they explained that it wasn't a sewing machine and that it's a 3D printer, I knew exactly what I was going to do. I knew I was going to 3D print firearms. I knew I was going to print a lower, a Glock framing, pretty much just go all out after I got the first 3D printer.
Wow, so you already had that in your mind. You already had that plan set since the get-go.
Oh yeah, like I knew that you could 3D print guns, and I was just so excited for it because a teacher at my school has a 3D printer, and it's very, very nice one, thousands of dollars. And I jokingly told him, like, take it home one day and start 3D printing guns. And he's pro gun, but I wouldn't say he's pro Second Amendment, but he just jokingly said no. But so that just got me hooked because that was the only 3D printer I've ever seen before the ones I had. So I was like, man, that's got to be so expensive that I will never get one, or I'll be an adult when I get one.
Correct. Yeah. You said something interesting. You said he's pro-gun, but he's not pro-Second Amendment. I didn't know what that meant till I started getting into the 2A community, right? Because I thought like, well, it's either you like guns or you don't, and that's it, right? But then I started realizing that not everybody actually cares about the Second Amendment, about not infringing our rights to carry. A lot of people just say, well, yeah, guns are okay, but being pro 2A is a whole different topic.
No, you're exactly right. And it's frustrating to live around a community that I do. We live in a small town, and a lot of people hunt. But everyone just says, yeah, I'm pro-gun. But then I'm like, okay, how many ARs do you own? Not like you actually have to tell me, but they're like, oh, I don't own any. I don't think we need any of those. I'll just use a shotgun. And then I'm just like, okay, now I know where you draw the line. And it's just annoying to hear stuff like that because they're almost more dangerous to the Second Amendment than someone who doesn't own a gun, because they're so set in their ways that it's so hard to change their mind. But it's not, I wouldn't say easy, but I feel like in my experience, it's easier to change a anti-guns person's mind to be a pro Second Amendment like lover.
Yeah, I think you're correct. You're right on that one. I think it's harder if somebody already, because they think they already know everything. So, if you don't know something and somebody explains to you, it'll be easier for you to maybe persuade them, and have them look at the subject in a different way. But if they already say, no, well, I'm pro-gun, okay, but are you pro-Second Amendment? You're not,
Exactly.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you another question, and this one is relating to how did your family take it? Like, I know you said they thought it was going to be a phase, but now that they're seeing how deep you're getting into it, and especially your family and your friends, like what do they think?
So my family, I like it. Not, I wouldn't say embraces it because I just don't like that term, but they like it. I got my brother in really pro 2A now. My dad's very pro 2A. My mom absolutely loves shooting guns, and my sister sometimes is my camera woman to my videos. So my whole like immediate family loves it. I don't really talk to my like other parts of my family, but what they like my YouTube channel, they think it's pretty cool. My friends know I'm obsessed, so they kind of get annoyed with me because that's normally what all I talk about. Because I don't know, this is what I do. I do this for when I'm awake. I'm pretty much always thinking about guns or designing. So my friends kind of get annoyed, but they like it. I take some of them shooting sometimes, but yeah, for the most part, I don't have any hate from my friends or my family.
That's cool, man. That's really dope that, you know, they're being supportive and you don't get any backlash from your family. When I got into it, my mom was really scared, you know, because like I said, you know, in Mexico, the only people that carry guns are either criminals or police officers, and you can't even trust the police. So it's like, who do we trust? I mean, now the gun stuff is changing because people are realizing, hey, we need to have arms in order to protect our territories, because what the cartels are doing at the moment, and I know this is off topic, but I kind of want to explain to you what the cartels doing at the moment is that they're fighting for territory, and one cartel comes in and says, you have to pay me, don't pay the other guys, right? So then they start paying that guy. Then the old cartel comes back and says, hey, you have to pay me. And they're like, well, I paid the other guy. And he's like, well, I don't care. So now people, they're getting charged twice, man. And if they don't pay, they're burning their stuff down. And these people are not rich. So what happened is a lot of people started grabbing whatever guns they could find, started doing a small militia to protect themselves. And, you know, in a way, I'm kind of happy that now they're seeing that, hey, we actually need to fight fire with fire.
Yeah, that makes me proud to hear that they're fighting back.
But, you know, it's hard, especially when the corruption comes from within, you know, from the government. It's been, I'm gonna say something and hopefully nobody gets offended. But the problem is that in Mexico, the corruption, they don't care. It's wide open. They don't hide it. They're not discreet, you know? At least in the U.S., you know there's corruption, but it's a little bit more discreet, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Remember when all that QAnon stuff happened? Okay, so in a way, like, I'm kind of glad it happened because it actually helped shed a lot of light. And it happened during kind of the COVID situation, so a lot of people didn't have anything to do. And that's what they would do. They would, you know, follow the rabbit, go inside that hole and start digging and realize how bad certain issues in the government were, right?
Perfect.
I mean, what's your opinion?
Oh, I have the same opinion as yours. Like, I don't even know where to take it. You said everything that I was thinking.
Yeah. How did you feel that the 2A 3D printing community accepted you when you made your Instagram and all that stuff?
So, your last podcast, and you guys were saying like you're like this other wave of printing and designers. I'm kind of almost in the first generation of printers and designers because I've been doing this for almost 2 years. Okay, because I'm going to turn 19 in 2 months. So I've been doing this for about 2 years, and I was one of the first people on YouTube to start posting 3D printed gun stuff. But I didn't let it go to my head because when I first started doing it, those videos were getting a lot more views than my normal gun videos. But I didn't want to chase that because I didn't want to just flood my channel with just random gun videos, and not like what YouTube is now, is random 3D printed videos, which is fine. I'm just saying I just didn't want to do that. So I took a step back and kind of just printed on the DL, and I started posting on Instagram, and people started liking it, and I started getting attention from Hoffman Tactical, and I was finally getting like attention from Mr. Snow. So I've been doing this a little while, and those are the first like couple of people that I knew that started 3D printing. And then everyone started getting into 3D printing, which was really exciting to see.
I gotta give you your respect, man. Just by what you said right now, I could tell that you just don't believe in God, but you fear God. And there's a big difference between believing and fearing. You just don't believe in God, because everybody could say we believe in God, correct? But,
That's true.
But the most important part is to fear God.
That is true.
To be afraid, because once you fear God, you act different, you move different, because you know that if you do something, He's watching. So,
Amen. Appreciate it. Yeah.
no. So I mean, just the way you spoke, you could tell somebody's character very quick.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to start the podcast. I know I repeat this a lot, but I wanted to get to know the person and let everybody know the person that's behind the social media, because I feel that's an issue that a lot of people go on social media and change their whole life around,
Oh yeah.
So,
I can see that.
yeah, so you don't know who these people are. But in the 2A 3D community, a lot of us are very outspoken because, first of all, a lot of us believe in God, Second, we believe in freedom. We believe in America, So we have something to stand on. What's it called when you build a house? The foundation.
Solid foundation.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say. Like, that's what fearing God is. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to do, man. I wanted to get to know everybody, see who they are, and see where this leads to, Like right now, I just learned that you consider yourself one of the first, right? The first generation.
Yeah, I mean, I would consider real close to that because I remember some of the files that were out then, and you probably wouldn't even recognize them now. Like the Anderson Wildfire was kind of popular, but I don't know if you know what that is.
Nah, I never heard of it.
Exactly. It's kind of like an older era lower, but it's still like newer. You know what the Hellfire is, right?
Nah. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, I see a lot of like 2B builds are built with the Hellfire. Well, the Wildfire was the first iteration of it, and then version 2 came out, and that was like the Hellfire.
Oh, okay. Okay, so look, when I got into 3D printing, they had gotten rid of, remember the first block model they had? Instead of just using pins, you used hex screws.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in like after that. So when I got in, they already had the new file. I think they had just made it, so they didn't have that. People were kind of using both. Then when the one with the pins came out, I forgot what they called, DD something or something. I don't know what it's.
Oh yeah. I don't remember the name. Is it like the DD19 or something?
Yeah. So that's when I started getting into it, when they changed from that to the ones that we're using right now. Yeah.
That's kind of cool. Like we were able to set up a timeline to like what prints did we know. That's interesting to me.
Correct. Yeah, no, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So the next question that I want to ask you, and this one's only for you, man, because of your age. Where do you see yourself in like 5 years, man? Because you've already, like, how many years you've been at the 3D printing game?
About 2.
So in 5, that'll be like 7. 7 is a great number. So where do you see yourself in 7, let's say 7 years, because of the 2 you have already, right?
Yeah. Well, as long as I'm not in a courtroom, I'll be fine. So I plan on getting the CNC machine in the next couple of years, and hopefully I can start making my own bolts. And eventually, when I turn 21, I do want to get my FFL, and I do want to make some firearms and have my own manufacturing company. But I'll always still do 3D printing stuff and try to like balance it. But I do think it'd be pretty cool to have a manufacturing company, but I don't know that's not set in stone, of course. So I would love to just continue printing, get into a lot of different printers, and have like a nice print farm. But yeah, I think I will get into CNC machines in the next couple of years and crank out more designs. I mean, just released. I kind of leaked my newest project with the Glock 44 slide. So as long as I don't run out of projects, I'll be in good shape.
That's amazing, man. Honestly, that would be so cool if you had your own manufacturing business, you know? So when you're talking about the CNC machine, for people that don't know or, you know, might not understand what that is, that's a machine where you could actually make aluminum lowers, correct?
Yeah, so it's pretty much if you replace your nozzle on a 3D printer and insert a drill bit, that's pretty much what it's going to do. It's just going to just remove material to your specific shape that you want.
Wow, man, you're going to have endless possibilities with it. That'll be amazing, man. Okay, another question I have for you. You're going to school. What grade are you in at the moment?
So I'm a senior in high school.
Okay. And what plans do you have? Are you planning on going to college, or are you planning on just starting this after high school, maybe take a little bit of college classes and then just go out there and do your own business? Or what are you thinking, man?
So I'm going to be honest, I don't have an engineering class. I've never taken an engineering class. I pretty much, besides two people that kind of like, you know, download Fusion 360 and they kind of taught me how to make a square and how to move like objects, I'm pretty much self-taught after that. So I just got motivation to design. So I'm not going to go to college. I don't plan on getting an engineering degree at all or a business degree at all. I'm pretty much going to just work with my friends and work on a couple like gutter crews and hang gutters with my friends until I'm 21, and I'll get my FFL and hopefully start manufacturing guns by then. But I mean, until then, I'm going to work on designs. I'll get a sketchbook and start drawing out stuff, have plans. So when I do hit 21, I can start manufacturing with good ideas.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm going to give you a little bit of advice, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, I didn't want to go to college. I didn't think college had anything to offer for me, you know? My sister, she went to college, she went to university, and now she's a special ed teacher, and she's actually teaching at the school that she went to when she was a kid. So, I mean, some people have it in them, some people don't. What I've noticed with a lot of people that build and, you know, like people that are into building and messing around with stuff, I don't know about you, but me, the way I learn is I'm a visual learner. And not just a visual learner, but I have to do it with my hands. I have to open the part, take things apart, try to put it back. I have always done that since I was a little kid. I remember my dad used to get mad at me because he would get home and I had taken the radio apart and I didn't know how to put it back on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like a lot of people that are into 3D printing are self-taught, you know, because 3D printing, man, when you come at it with the technical stuff, sometimes you overthink it, you know? And 3D printing sometimes, or anything, even just with building, it's good to know the plans and stuff like that. And I even think just in life in general, overthinking is not good. But what I ended up doing actually is I had my own business when I was like around 18. I had a landscaping business. So then I ended up hurting my back and I couldn't, you know, I was the only one doing the landscaping business. It was just myself because I had just started. And then when I hurt my back, I mean, I couldn't, you know, lift or take the more out, like, you know, do certain lifting because landscaping, I was doing pretty much like landscaping and handyman work. So it was a lot of labor, you know? So then I remember when I did that, at that time, my ex-wife, she had just gone to school and she told me, hey, come back to school. And I'm like, what? Because I never graduated from high school. I got my GED. And she's like, yeah, you could take some college courses. And I had tried college before and I didn't like it. But then she said, right now, what you could do is you could do a 1-year program where you get a certificate and you get to pick the classes for the certificate. So I didn't have to take math, science, nothing like that. So what I ended up taking was a bunch of business classes. And I'm actually thankful that I took those classes. It was a course for entrepreneurship and innovation, because there is how I learned about marketing, websites, how to set up a business from the bottom, like bootstrap it. And I think that's important, especially if you're planning on doing your business, man. Try to find something where you get a little bit of knowledge on how to set it up. And if you do know, if you don't know, I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to try to figure out how you're going to set it up, and just, have a little bit of experience on that paperwork side, because a lot of the times we end up getting screwed over because we don't figure out the paperwork side or the contracts,
Yeah,
Since you're young.
I've taken business classes in my school. I'm currently in an entrepreneurship class and a marketing class. They're both college classes. I just don't feel the need to go to school, because I've
Yeah, for
absorbed everything that my teacher could tell me. So for right now, I don't feel the need to go after high school. I don't feel the need to go to college for now.
Oh, yeah,
We'll
no,
see.
that's great, man. Yeah, if you already took some classes, yeah, man, do it. You're young, just go ahead, and if you already have your plan set, do it, man. And you know what? I'm going to say something. It's amazing that you got into guns at the age of 10, because honestly, man, for your age, and you grew up in the age where everybody has cell phones, social media. You're not just stuck on it. You're living your life. And I think that helps, because you actually had a hobby that you had to go outside. Like, you can't shoot a gun inside, unless you're in a indoor range. But sometimes talking to you, to be honest, man, I feel like I'm talking to somebody my age. And I'm like, man, this is the future. I'm proud to say, hey, man, this is my future. When I talk to you, I'm proud to say, this is the future. Because right now, man, a lot of the people your age, let me correct that, don't think the way you think at all, man. They think everything should come easy to them. They think because everybody is famous, or everybody has all this stuff that they pretend to have, because it's social media, man. Everything is a facade, You don't know what life they're living at all. And you could have taken a different route. What do you think made you stay the way you are? Do you think God helped you out a lot? Or being religious, actually? Let's rephrase that.
Oh, absolutely. Honestly, I come from my family's got a really interesting story, and so I'll just be honest. My grandfather and my grandfather was from Poland, and my grandmother was from Russia, and they were both in internment camps during World War II. So their stories that were told back to me was just a motivation to design firearms. It was my motivation to promote the Second Amendment, because they had such horrific stories that made me feel like, okay, I need to teach people how to use firearms. I need to promote firearms. I need to build more firearms. So I need to design more firearms so people can go print their own in a different country where they can't even own a gun. So I believe God has given me this story, this lifestyle, that I gotta help people, because that's all I want to do. I just want to arm people. I don't want to harm them. I just want to arm them. I just want to give everyone a gun so they can defend themselves.
Yeah, man. You know what? For reals, I tell a lot of people, having a religion, right? Having a higher belief, that helps a lot, man. Not just that, but having a good support group around you, that helps. But like I said, I think what happened nowadays, and I'm pretty sure you saw this, right? What was the first thing they did when COVID hit? They closed down all the churches, right? Any place of worship, they closed it down. And to me, when I started seeing that to me felt like, why are you taking away the only thing that's making us strong? Because people could say, oh, you could pray in your house, oh, you pray in your room, but it's not the same to pray by yourself or with your family as when you pray in a congregation. And I'm sorry to the listeners, but like I said, this podcast is a different podcast. I'm going to talk about religion. I'm going to talk about politics because I think we're in an age where we're censoring ourselves too much. And a lot of people need to understand that when you pray as a group, there's more power in there and you feel different than when you just pray by yourself. And I think they try to take that away from a lot of people. And that's when I realized COVID is not what they're saying it is, because the first thing they're doing was take away the places of worship, but they had sports centers open, bro.
No, you're absolutely right.
What's your
It's sickening to even think about that. That happened in America, but it's sickening. And I think people are afraid to talk about politics and religion because they don't want to offend people. We live in a time where everyone's scared to offend each other, and that's so annoying. I want to talk about politics. I want to talk about religion to people because that's how we change people's minds. That's how we get a better culture, a better perspective of the world.
Correct, man. And you know what's funny? When did you turn 18?
In May.
My son would have been 18 on the 20th of February. So me listening to you just makes me wish that my son would have had a friend like you, man, because it would have made a big change in his life. I remember my son wanted to learn about religion, and he thought that just getting baptized was going to help it. But I told him, no, you have to learn about this, because once you take this step, it's not a joke. You know what I mean? Sometimes I kind of regret it, but at the same time, because he passed, but at the same time, I think it was better for him to actually understand what religion is. And I noticed that is a big problem at the moment, because I noticed when I stopped my prayers, or I start feeling worse. But once I start back picking up the book, reading, everything it's like that puzzle piece that was missing. And the sad thing about it is that people say life didn't have a manual of living, and they're wrong. Because any religious book you pick up, the Bible, the Torah, whatever type of religion you pick up, those books are a way to guide you. I mean,
Exactly.
If you pick up like Satanism that's something else, bro. But I'm talking about religion. What said in the scripture?
Yeah, I mean, to be a Christian, it's not to follow religion; it's to build a relationship with Christ. That's the way we look at it. And I don't look at it as like, oh, I'm in a religion. I'm in a relationship with Christ. Once you get baptized, you got to learn more about Him and learn how to walk like Him, so you can be a better Christian, to be a better believer, to be a follower of Christ.
Yeah, you're right. You have to learn in order for you to walk that path. I tell a lot of people this, man. A lot of people think that if you become religious, you have to be one of those, I'm going to use a word, and I don't mean to offend or nothing like that, but one of those Bible thumpers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I remember my sister and certain people would always say like, oh, the religious people are the most hypocrite, blah, blah, blah. They're the worst. And I would say, people are people. Religion is separate. Obviously, we need religion because we have faults. Just because we become religious, that's not going to change our life, especially if we were not raised in a religion environment and we picked it up later on. We've already been programmed, so we have to reprogram ourselves and start living the way we were supposed to live. People don't understand that. So instead of you putting people down, if you want to preach to certain people, you got to come to them with open arms, without judging, with no ego. And you got to tell them and explain to them what it is. And it's okay if you fell off, but life is about finding a balance, man, because there's good and bad, but you got to strive to be in the middle and find a balance. I've learned that the hard way. I had my kids at a young age, and then, I got married. I got divorced at about, let's say, 30, 32, man, Then I lost what I loved the most, which was my family, my son, my daughter. Well, then my son died. Then I saw my stepdad, which was a great man. He wasn't my father, but he was very supportive. He took care of my mom. He was there for her, So me seeing my mom in pain, and then me seeing a person that was one of those old school type of men that he, even in his days off, he'll find something to do. And I remember before he got sick, he said that he never wanted to be a burden to anybody. And at the end, he ended up getting ALS. I stopped my life, I'm sorry, a lot of people don't know this, but I don't know, talking to you just made it easier to come out. Like I tell people, what helped me was believing in God and also fearing God.
No, and I appreciate you telling me that story and telling everyone tonight that story. And it's such an impactful thing we can all learn from it. And I want to I want to invite everyone who doesn't believe in Christ, but to go find him, go seek him, because he is what you need in life.
Yeah, correct, man. Like I said, this podcast is way different, and if we offend somebody in some type of way, I said it in the beginning, this is not a PC podcast where, we are American. We're proud of who we are and what we do. And America was built on freedom of religion. That's why in reality, that's why America was founded, because people wanted to be free to practice whatever they want. And people need to understand that. I don't know. I guess it was just when I started talking to you, and then I realized you're 18, and I'm like, man, you have a great head on your shoulder. Everything is, God works in mysterious ways, man. And just seeing you at your age and the head you have on your shoulder gives me hope, because for a while I was losing hope, especially when I tried TikTok. I went on TikTok, man, and I'm like, what is this? I was like, man, we're doomed, For real, man. But now talking to you, yeah, man, it's amazing. You actually opened my eyes up. I know we went really off topic. I got 2 more questions, and then we'll finish it. We'll wrap it up. What are you working on right now? Like, what are you actually excited to bring out and to actually show us?
Okay, so I get a lot of random ideas pop up in my head, and then I did that thing on Instagram, and I was like, hey, what do you guys want me to design next? And so now I got like 10 things that I gotta work on, apparently. So I'm gonna be releasing a version 2 Young Tac 22 upper. Everyone's excited for the DIY Glock 44 slide, which is in very early steps of designing. I'm gonna release a couple more round hole just round holders. Like I just released my 22 long rifle ones, but someone wants me to work on like a 6.5 Creedmoor, so maybe I'll do a couple of rifle caliber variants. And I know I tried to work on an Anderson Hellfire blower that takes Glock mags, not Glock mags, that takes old Colt SMG 9mm magazines. I know I got to work on that, but the one thing that I'm really excited for is the Glock 44 slide. I'm sure you know, but I don't know if your audience knows, is that I designed a DIY Glock 44 barrel, which is the 22 long rifle caliber Glock.
Yeah,
so
I saw that, man. That was nice. I like that a lot.
So the next step, apparently, because I get peer pressured into it, is to build a DIY slide for that, which I was a little hesitant of doing. And it's not because I was feeling lazy. It was more because I didn't want to spend my time on a project that can only be built in a few countries. And it's not to be cocky because I want my design anywhere in the world. No, I want my design to help people all around the world. Like the Young Tech 22 can be built anywhere in the world. The Glock slide is kind of mostly a US based project because of the Glock parts. Now that's not to say that we can DIY some of the parts, but I don't know. I haven't looked that deeply into DIYing Glock frame parts or slide parts. I just know right now most of the stuff is US based stuff.
Okay, so that's what you meant by not being able to be made outside the US because of the part issue, right?
Yes, exactly. I don't want to spend my time on something that I could be doing a whole different. I could do like a DIY pistol that could be built anywhere in the world because I'd rather help people there instead of doing like customizable stuff. I love people who design like new frames, but again, I think we should be spending our time kind of designing stuff that helps everyone in the world, like the Young Tech 22, the FGC9, those kind of designs.
Correct, yes. And it's funny you actually are bringing this up because I was actually talking to somebody. I'm not going to say too much, but this person that I was talking to, he is part of the 3D2A community, but he knows Spanish because I guess he lived in California, and you know, depending on where in California you live, especially if you live by the border like Southern California, you really need Spanish, you know? It helps a lot. And so he started talking to me in Spanish, and I was like, what? Like, I thought he was Mexican. But I'm like, nah, you don't even look Mexican, you know, in my head. But then he told me, because I guess he lived in California and he lived with Hispanic people, so he picked it up. And I was telling him, hey, man, I've been thinking of doing something in Spanish for the culture, you know, and it's not. And remember, Spanish is not just Mexico; it's actually Europe, Spain, you know. Some Portuguese people could understand Spanish too. So Brazil, Portugal, Central America, the parts that actually need it the most, because these people don't, like I said, they're fighting the cartel at the moment, you know, and they're not getting weapons, or at least to protect themselves. So we were talking about making it in Spanish and doing builds that, like you're saying, could be done worldwide. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. No, that's awesome. That's an awesome mission. I mean, I'd welcome anyone who'd want to take the Young Tech 22, not to keep plugging my own design, or take the FDC9, or take the Young Tech 22's guide, the build guide, and translate it. Because I know I took German a few years in high school. If you put English to another language, or another language to English, not all the word, it's not going to be a perfect translation. So I would love it if someone who would actually like read a guide for word and then translate it. That would be pretty cool. But I keep talking about it because, one, I put a lot of time into it, but not to just shamelessly plug it. But it's because it is an effective tool to defend oneself. Right. Even though it is only 22, you could get the 25 round magazines. So I think it's an effective tool, and I think we could do that worldwide because the parts are so simple. You could get it from a hardware store. You can order the metal online if you wanted to, but I got all my metal at the local hardware store. To go back to like my grandparents' story, I mean, I wouldn't be here if they had firearms. I wouldn't be here. But that's why I produced the Young Tech 22, is because now you can defend yourself. I believe it's a little easier to DC9. I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh,
Oh,
about
no,
the
so I
FGC
designed
9.
the Young Tech 22 to be a project that firearm that can be produced anywhere in the world. It's not that hard to build. You can defend yourself, and I owe it to my parents for kind of like just buying the material for me, even though it wasn't expensive. It was just like, okay, I designed this, they'll buy me this, and I gotta just like appreciate my grandparents' story of being unarmed and going through literal hell to get here. So now I just want to like give back and produce DIY designs. That's why I was hesitant to work on a Glock slide, because I know it's going to consume me for months because it's going to take so much to do, that I feel like I could be working on another DIY project to help everyone else.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so the last question I have for you is, what would you like to see from the 2A 3D community? So, or 3D 2A community. What would you like to see, and what do you want more of in the future?
I personally would like, and I'm not trying to throw shade or offend anyone or make anyone mad, I think we should kind of stop doing customization. No, I like what Guns from the Grave does for the coding and stuff. I'm not saying not to do the coding, but I think if we're gonna use CAD and go through all the steps, I think we should stop doing customization stuff and go into more DIY projects. I that's what I would like to see. I'd like to see more designs like the FGC9, like the Young Tech 22, to come out and help everyone, because we have the technology to study normal firearms, that we can take those firearms and kind of like redesign them to be able to be printed, to be adapted to from hardware store materials.
So what you're trying to say is that there should be less remixing and more new design.
Innovation.
Correct. And more innovation, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I think. I think if the remix doesn't make the
Firearm better?
file, yeah, any better, and it's just structure, if it doesn't like change it structurally and it just changes it cosmetically, I think we're wasting our time. I think we're wasting the filament and the material. And I know it sounds a little aggressive the way I said it, but I mean it. I think we are wasting our time doing this.
No, you're actually correct. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, man, you're totally correct, because what I've noticed is that the remixing stuff became like a trend right now. Haven't you noticed that? It's a big trend. Everybody's remix, and there was this guy on Odyssey, and he remixed stuff, but he did the dime on the Harlot, He added extra support on certain pieces, so that when I saw that, I'm like, this is cool. Certain remixes, you're correct, man. You're totally correct.
I mean, I remixed the Harlot barrel, and so I did a Harlot. I did two remixes of the Harlot barrel. I did one 5-inch barrel that just pretty much extended the traditional Harlot just barrel. It's got the same geometry, and the other one I put a quad rail on it. So is that super practical? No, but at least my longer barrel gives you more velocity, so theoretically more lethality.
Yeah.
So I think at least a practical remix makes sense to do.
Correct. Yeah. We need to stop doing those remixes that are just aesthetically pleasing and work on the stuff that's actually gonna better the firearm, or make it work correct, or make it stronger.
Yes, exactly. I mean, okay, I can see I think we've pretty much hit the peak of coolness. So now I can show like a cool frame or something to a person who doesn't know anything about 3D printing, and then people will like that. I get that. But now I'm pretty sure we've hit the peak, and people are going to say, well, we got to keep exploring to see if we hit the peak. Well, now we've got to a point that I can show people like, hey, that's 3D printed. Like, there's like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like I said, man, I noticed that a lot of the remixing it started off, and I think you're correct. I think we hit like a peak, and we're just stuck right there, and we need to figure out, are we gonna continue getting stuck on making it look pretty and cool, or are we gonna switch it up and make it functional, sturdy, and strong. That's why I love the mag that let me get this right, because this guy,
Danny Meatball?
yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's why I did that video, because when he remixed or made that magazine, there's a big difference. You could tell this man like took his time. He was proud when he did this, project, because I'm telling you, man, I've used the Mendez mags for a while, and I've actually, like the 25 rounders, I've actually left them for a while loaded, man. Like fully loaded, 25 in there.
Jeez.
But think about it, where I live, the weather's not bad, We have nice weather all around, and I keep it in a dark place, but I think most it probably lasted me, that it was still functional, leaving it like that, was, I gotta say, 3 months. 3 months. And then after that, I had issues where that's why I did his, because I went to check on the mag and it was bad. It was done. So when I printed have you printed his mag?
No, I don't have a Glock, so I don't need to print one yet.
Yeah, you're right. And then he's doing the
drum extension.
Yes. So yeah, man, I guess we're done. It was a great show.
Absolutely.